I was walking to my school theater, which was up the road. I was a sophomore at the time, and I didn't have my driver's license, so walking was the only option. I was passing the school's playground when I noticed a group of kids smoking on the other side of the fence. I knew their type. They were the kind of people who would pick on me for no other reason than self-worth. So when I saw them, I instantly went into ignorance mode. I had learned this technique from the anti-bullying seminars our school had. The ones where the school canceled classes so everyone could go, but were still optional. The yelling came as I passed. It was all the classic lines.
Gingers have no souls. All gingers deserve to die. Drop dead.
I've heard these so many times their potency was weak. Until one kid shouted over everyone else.
I'm going to come over there and burn your eye out with my cigarette.
I stopped walking. It seems sad, but going through high school, I expected to be bullied. The media portrayed the bullies as the jocks, cheerleaders, and other cool kids. I had joined the chess club in middle school and marching band freshman year. According to the movies and television shows, I was prime bait for bullies. This being said, it surprised me that most of the bullying was towards my hair color. Before I even entered high school, the television show South Park aired an episode claiming that people who had red hair and freckles were soulless. These so-called gingers were said to be the spawn of Satan. I've never seen that episode, but I eventually found out about it. I had asked, and soon learned its message. I brushed it off. It was childish to believe that was true. However, high school students fit into the definition of childish. In my freshman year of high school, I learned of a special holiday. This event was known as Kick a Ginger Day, a day where you try to kick as many gingers as possible. I came home that day with scars on my shins. I laughed about it in school and around my family, but once I saw those scars and bruises, I felt the emotional pain of what happened. They truly believed I was soulless. They thought I was the scum of the earth, all because of a 20-minute episode of an animated television show. It made no sense to me. It still doesn't. Unfortunately, like most bullying, the idea began to sink in. How could I possibly know if I had a soul? People I wouldn't even know would yell at me, telling me to die and that I was demonic. Even a priest at my cousin's baptism said I was evil when I stuttered during a reading. I began to sink into an emotional low. Society didn't seem to want me. They even detested my existence. I told no one of my pain. They would just say, "Ignore them, they're idiots." Idiots with swords still do damage, and the scars from their attacks still sting, even if you ignore them. I became a corpse, with strangers passing me by, some even to kick me. So I ignored the clatter of arms coming from this group of hooligans, their weapons dripping with insults. But this threat was a dagger thrown directly at me. The anti-bullying seminars all say that you should just keep walking and ignore them, act like it never happened. But I stopped. Something within me snapped, and I abandoned everything I learned. I began to act entirely on instinct. I turned to face them. They were a small group, and the one who threatened me was a short, overweight fellow. I stared right at him, not even thinking.
I would like to see you try.
I shouted back. I was going to get myself killed. And I didn't care. The effects from years of being pushed around and made fun of just because a paper animation became a religion were finally being surfaced. I had picked up this dagger and held it at the ready.
Oh, really?
He called back.
Come over here and I'll kick your ass.
I collected my thoughts and took a breath. The anger frenzy I was in was dimming.
No, thank you.
I said. I began walking again.
I'm going to kill you! You think you can beat me?
He yelled. Despite my attempt at self-control, I laughed out loud. I wasn't the most physically fit kid, but I knew I could beat him, if it had to come to violence. I was twirling the dagger in my hand, acting like a total smartass.
Oh, I know I can!
I replied. He was getting angry.
You think you're better than me?
He yelled back. I stopped again and looked at them. If they were going to judge me, I was going to judge them.
I know I am,
I said confidently. I began my final exit, dropping the dagger. His final insult sounded like defeat, and I know what he would do. He would shout, I would not respond, and he would look at his friends and call me a
Dumbass.
or a,
Wimp.
and then it would be over. He finally shouted,
You're just a ginger.
Indeed I am. I was so much more than what I was on the outside, but if that is what the world viewed me as, a ginger, so be it. I will not, however, be considered soulless. People will not look at me and say, oh, he's satanic. I will have them think I'm a dork, a wimp, or anything other than soulless. That was the first time I ever stood up for myself. Years of taking the hits were wearing me down. It was time I fought for myself, because no one else would. I believed myself better than the bullies, not because of my grades or my skill, but instead of taking the high ground. Their opinions of me no longer mattered. They never mattered. If I want to be viewed as something else, that is a choice I will make. We crave the approval of our peers, but in reality, it's just our own opinion that matters. We live with ourselves. We spend every moment within our bodies. Thus, the views of ourselves surpasses those of others. I realized this immediately. I walked into the building with a smile on my face.
Guys, you won't believe what just happened to me.